Hi, welcome to the Three Times podcast. Today I'm talking to Craig Atkinson and Peter Aldcroft, two of the team that organises the Allen Valley's Folk Festival, about their plans for 2025. Once again, this festival will offer a diverse range of musical styles, both traditional and progressive, that fall under the broad banner of folk, with ticketed sessions complemented by a number of free events in Allendale, including workshops, spoken word, an open mic, dancing, and of course the famous Allendale Wolf. There will be a local sale of weekend passes in St Cuthbert's Church in Allendale between 10 a.m. and midday on Saturday the 22nd of March. Any tickets remaining will then be sold from Allendale Co-op. Online sales will start at 7 p.m. on Sunday the 23rd of March at allenvalleysfolkfestival.co.uk. Craig and Peter, thank you for talking to the podcast. How was 2024 for the Allen Valley's Folk Festival?
Well, I think it was the best festival yet. I know we always tend to say that, but I think this time we really mean it, in that we had top artists in all the best positions. So we had Catherine Ducal on Friday, we had Turfu on Saturday, and we had Johnny Flynn on Sunday. And you take that combination of artists across the weekend, it's not a surprise that A, people found it very difficult to buy tickets, and B, when they did arrive, they were absolutely ecstatic about the performance of these artists. Not just the performance, but their ability to mingle with festival goers in the venues, outside the venues, in the pubs. That was the best bit of it. It suddenly became community engagement on a big scale, more than we've ever seen in the past.
Yes, that feeling on the Saturday in the village centre with the music going on at the Forge Cafe and Studios, with the spoken word event in Emma's Cafe, with the dance going on outside the Lion House. It really felt lovely. Yeah, good community stuff.
And of course the other thing is that not all the events were ticketed. Obviously the events in the main venues were ticketed, but everything else was free. And I think there are about 19 free events, so people just turn up. People didn't feel inclined to buy a ticket or couldn't afford to buy a ticket, could just turn up and attend these events. And they could be open mic events, could be workshops, could be part of the spoken word programme, and it could be dance. We had dance going on all afternoon in the square. And of course it could be the infamous Wolf. Yes. All these were completely free access to anybody who wanted to turn up.
So how are you going to build on that success for 2025?
Well, I think it's quite a difficult question. I think we're very confident that festival goers actually do rely on our judgment, and that they will follow what we recommend in terms of artists, because not all our artist choices have been obvious or easy ones. But in general, festival goers have come away feeling very pleased that they turned up, and that the programme they've seen has actually expanded their experience of music. So, we're not just selling them tickets for bands they want to hear. We're selling them tickets for bands they don't necessarily want to hear, but once they've heard them, actually they quite like them. Yeah. And I think that will be the key to this year's success, because the programming is, if anything, more diverse.
So the 2025 festival is going to take place over the weekend of Friday the 26th of September to Sunday the 28th of September. It's going to be our 12th festival. This year's lineup has lots of broad appeal, with a fabulous mix of styles, from traditional folk to world music to techno and experimental folk.
I think we'll have to sell individual artists quite hard, but I think that our audiences will back our judgment. That's the paid part of the programme. Obviously the free events continue to be free events, and we just make the workshop programme stronger. I think the Wolf is always brilliant. We've never had a disappointing Wolf, apart from the year when the village nearly set fire. But the Wolf has generally been very pleasing. Both the Wolf and the procession of music that go with the Wolf. It's all been admired. So those elements will stay the same. So we're really talking about the music programme being as strong as last year, with slightly different types of artists, but we think they'll really be appreciated.
So when you say different types of artists, what sort of genres are you drawing your artists from?
Well, I think it's traditional folk, whether it's Scottish folk or Irish folk. There's a kind of techno aspect to some of the acts. We have a Greek group who are playing this year, which should be a bit different. Also, we have what we call progressive folk or Balkan folk, which is just very fast-paced music, and very, very good for dancing. The headline act on Saturday really goes in the same mould as previous dance-type acts we've had on Saturday, so that should be a success.
Yeah.
But what is a bit different is the experimental artists we have on board. Do you want to say a bit about that, Craig?
So we're talking about Sunday afternoon, and we're going to have 3 bands on the Sunday afternoon, and they're going to be really, really different. So we're going to have Sherburne, Bartley and Saunders, who are collectively and affectionately known as the voice of the Moors. It's Chris, Denny and Emily, and they've been together, I think Emily joined in 2016, but certainly Chris and Denny have been playing since the early 90s. So they're going to start our afternoon off. Quite traditional. Then I'm really excited. We've been after an artist to play at our festival for a number of years. Tamsin Elliott, accordion, harp. And she's going to bring her band, Hedera, who are going to be playing music-inspired England, Scotland, France, Bali, Georgia, Bulgaria, Ethiopia and beyond.
Right. Quite comprehensive.
Quite comprehensive. Yeah. So that's the middle of the afternoon. And then our headliner is going to be Cosmo Sheldrake. Have you ever come across Cosmo Sheldrake?
Not, I remember a name like that.
Okay, so he's based in the UK. He's a multi-instrumentalist, producer, composer, live improviser, and he's a field recordist. He did a lot of work during lockdown on bird song, that kind of thing. He is connected with Johnny Flynn. I think he produces his albums. He was part of the Sussex Wit, and I think they're good friends. So he's going to be our headliner on the Sunday afternoon. And I must admit, I'm really, really excited.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating.
It's going to be a bit different, but it's going to be very different to perhaps last year and the year before. And really, the sounds are going to be very diverse. I think it's just going back a bit and looking at the variety of Sunday headliners we've had. Because, they haven't all been famous names. Starting off with, in 2017, Sam Lee and Friends, which was a wonderful gig. I just remember there being rows of kids, sitting cross-legged right at the front of the auditorium, and it was very much a family show with Sam Lee. Very, very gentle, kind of beautiful voice. So he was 2017. 2018, Catherine Tickell and David Ormond.
Oh, yes.
So that was a mixture of music and verse written by David Ormond. Music accompanied by Catherine Tickell. Again, that was a wonderful family event. Obviously, lots of book interest in David Ormond's
we had
work.
Amy Thatcher was part of that.
She was, yes. So that was 2018. 2019, the Unthanks. And I think the Unthanks were our first really big name on a Sunday. That was at the time when we realised we could look upon Sunday as a revenue generating event. We signed the Unthanks quite late in the day. I think we signed them in June, which is 2 or 3 months later than ideal.
Yes.
And they turned up and they were absolutely fantastic. Such a pure sound. And I remember the place was packed, so packed that we had the rear doors of the village hall open. And I remember there was a pizza van outside. And I had to tell them to stop selling pizzas so that we could hear the other acts. So that was very memorable. And then a complete change in 2022. So we had the 2 COVID years off. Then in 2022, we had Talisk, techno folk from Scotland. The loudest music that's ever been played in the village hall.
I remember the sound check.
Yeah.
And it was like a 747 was landing.
Yeah. Staggering volume. So again, you got some people who turned up expecting it to be slightly laid back, in the way that the Unthanks were laid back, and Catherine de Cav was laid back. But in fact, it's quite the reverse. And we found that people who wanted to sit down were being told to stand up. So there's quite a management issue there, which eventually we solved. But people are quite happy to accept a different style of act on a Sunday. Yeah. So then 2023, Corinne Polwart, staggeringly good. Wonderful lyrics, such a simple act, just her. And she was generous enough to run a workshop for kids in the morning. So after her, we get on to Johnny Flynn last year, and this year, Cosmo Sheldrake. So you can see it's quite a broad spread of artists that have worked on a Sunday.
Yes, it's interesting how the Sunday's evolved, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of one of our big sessions now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the past, many years ago, it used to be kind of a wind down, didn't it?
Yeah, it was wind down. Yeah.
And the Friday night wasn't working for many years, and we thought, well, should we do Friday night? It's a big night for us now.
Okay. And what's in store on Friday night this year?
Yes, so Friday night this year we've got 2 acts. We have got Jordan Aitken and Quercus, who are a Newcastle band, exciting contemporary folk quintet. Now, a strange fact for you, so the band consists of Jordan, we've got Heather Ferrier, we've got Alistair Paul, we've got Adam Stapleford on drums, but we've got a chap called Bevan Morris on the bass. Now, Bevan might be setting a record for us this year. So Bevan's playing with Jordan Aitken and Quercus this year on the Friday night. Bevan was with us last year. He played on the Sunday afternoon with Howay the Lasses, and he played previously on the Sunday afternoon with the Grace Smith Trio.
Yeah.
He keeps coming back in different guises. And then the headliner for the Friday night is Rachel McShane and the Cartographers. I looked at Rachel's social media last night, and it just says Rachel McShane sings and plays stringy things. But obviously she's ex-Bellow Head. Yeah. The Cartographers are Ian Stevenson and Julian Sutton, who are quite big in their own right.
So that's generally a more conventional folky theme.
Yes, certainly more conventional. But it's interesting how we've gone about getting the programme together this year. The actual process, I feel it's been much more of a team effort. Mm-hmm. There's about 11 or 12 of us, 13 who are active in organising the festival. And I feel this year a bigger part of the group have had a say in what the music programme is.
Yeah. You can't really recommend a band really positively unless you've seen the band live, as a generalisation. Mm-hmm. And obviously, with 30 people, there's a bigger chance that more people will have seen bands live.
Yeah.
And that's where we get the pressure.
Yeah.
If somebody's seen a band live, a band that you haven't seen live, then obviously they have a better instinct about whether that band is going to be good or bad. So I think we benefited from that. More people seeing live bands.
Yes, there's a lot of knowledge in that group. We also get an awful lot of emails.
Yeah, well, there are various routes in. Obviously, there's a whole social media thing, so we get communication that way. Mm. But then we have an artist's email address, which artists can use to apply. And I think we had over 100 requests from artists to be part of our festival. You can either be rude and ignore them, or you can actually process them all and say, sorry about this year, but how about next year? Yeah. But then, so to the over 100 email requests, you've got individual requests, from members of the group. So you could be talking about, 150 possibles, which I think we whittled down to a short list of about 60. And then from that 60, we're down to a short list of 12 or 13. Yeah. So it's quite a laborious, it's a 3-month process, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's very tough for artists to get gigs, isn't it, I think?
Well, Saturday evening we describe it as world music, mm-hmm. which means that it's usually wild. It has a kind of techno-Baltic flavour to it. Yeah. And we expect people to be dancing, from the first 10 seconds for it to be successful, which is what's happened in the past. So the band this year is Electric Jalaba, which is very much in that style.
Now, Peter, can I stop you there just
Yes.
a moment?
Yeah,
We haven't confirmed electric jabber.
not confirmed yet. Right. So this is slightly in principle.
Yes. That's an aspiration.
Yeah, there are a couple of bands who are there in principle at the moment, but we just haven't
Yes.
we haven't finalised.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
Yes, yeah.
We've got this idea that there's a Palestinian duo who are touring the UK in the summer called Songs We Carry, and we're hoping to get them on the Saturday afternoon, but they haven't confirmed yet. So the band that have confirmed for the Saturday night are Bonfire Radicals. They're a Balkan sound, and the place will be bouncing.
So we've got three themes for the 3 evenings. And on the first evening, you got a kind of a more conventional
Yes.
folk theme. On the second evening, it's about dance and lively music and
Yeah.
sort of Middle European influences.
Yes.
And then on the third day, we've got sort of pushing the boundaries of folk and innovation in that way, and kind of a refreshing take
Yes.
on what people might be expecting.
Yes.
Mm.
That's right. Yeah.
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 Well, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, we hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
On that Saturday afternoon, we've got Aval, who've played a few times in the past, and they've got local connections. They've got that kind of west coast of Scotland vibe going on. That'd be lovely. We've got a band called Cotilia, who've got a sound from Eastern Mediterranean, a lot of Greek influences. And we've got a band called Cozy's X, which are based in Newcastle and a bit more experimental. We've come to Cozy's X through our sound engineer Rob Griffith. It's his band. It's a collective of musicians mainly based in Newcastle. Rob's a lovely man. I had a conversation with him a few weeks ago just about his ideas for this year's festival. He's brilliant, he really is. He's a lovely man.
Yeah, but so I have to say, I don't think I've heard of most of the acts that you've got on, and I would count myself as somebody who's fairly well aware of what's going on. So you've done well to find a number of acts who are going to be so refreshing to a seasoned audience.
I was looking at some other lineups to festivals, and it appeared from my eye that everybody was upping their game actually. There's some really great lineups out and about there. So festival goers are going to be spoiled for choice. It's
Santa Susa was a revelation last year, and I think it was to everybody. It was such a surprise, wasn't it? Everybody. I was sitting in the audience, and everybody loved what he was doing. Didn't they?
yes. Well, Suntu's touring again this year, and he's bringing his dad across.
Oh wow!
So he's going to be touring with his dad, which is
Yeah, he was very good at involving the audience,
Yes.
wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I think several artists did that last year. I think Johnny Campbell did as well.
Yeah.
Getting people singing their songs.
Yeah.
It's always a good sign.
And he'll be passing us by shortly, won't he? He's doing his Pennine Way.
Yes, if you look behind you, I've got the I saw him the other week in Wylam.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to forego that. I had tickets, but I couldn't make it.
Yes, so Johnny's going to do a walk for us again
Brilliant.
at the festival. What we've done is we've developed a programme of local walks. So we've got a local person who's going to be walking part of Isaac's Tea Trail on the Friday.
Yeah.
Johnny's going to do a moorland traverse again for us on Saturday, and we're hoping to get another musician to lead a walk on the Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I'm just in negotiations at the moment with that. So that's kind of a new element to the festival, on top of the workshops and spoken word. And
We'll pray for good weather.
yes, I mean we were very very lucky last year with the weather.
Yeah.
It was lovely, but always developing.
Yeah, it's always developing. Yes.
And what other sort of free activities have you got going?
Okay.
Well, I think the spread is much the same as last year in terms of, obviously the workshops will be different, but the numbers will be the same. Venues might change.
Yep, so we've lost a couple of venues this year, but we've gained a couple. So the Allendale Methodist Chapel is going to be used.
Yeah.
We're going to be using the library. In terms of workshops, we've got a couple of instrument workshops. We've got some small pipes in Borden. We've got the crafty making workshops again. We'll have the Medway building again, which is involves higher ground, which is our community garden. They actually provide a lot of the vegetables that
Oh, really?
used
Yes.
our
In the village
caterers.
hall,
The catering last
Yeah,
year
yeah.
was another great success.
We'll have spoken word again. We're very lucky to have Caitlin Kendall on board, and she organises that for us. That was new to us last year. And Nick Pepper's going to organise the music at the Forge, the open mic stuff,
Yeah.
which is great. And we're going to have the family Cayley on the Saturday afternoon. We're going to have a group of youngsters playing. Yeah.
Which is new. Youngsters actually play for the Cayley youngsters.
Yes, it's a very young audience for the family Cayley,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? A lot of the local teenagers seem to have cottoned onto the event, and it's brilliant.
Of course, we run a Cayley in Allendale on New Year's Eve.
Uh-huh.
We've been running that for 4 or 5 years, and it's always packed. And the audience is really quite varied, because people spend time there before going on to the tar barrels thing in the evening,
Yeah.
which starts about 1:15 midnight. So it fills quite a useful gap. That's always been a very lively event, hasn't it?
Yeah, we seem to be upping our game in terms of one-off events this year. So we've got the Pear Blossoms next month at the Village Hall. We've got an author talk in April, and we're hoping to have some kind of Christmas concert in early December. So lots of stuff to organise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's under the umbrella of Allen Valley's Community Arts, which is the name of our charity. We, Allen Valley's Community Arts, run all those events. So we run the folk festival, we run the Cayley, we run the one-off events, and we run whatever else we choose to invent for the future.
Yeah.
It kind of fulfills the name.
Yeah.
It's arts for the community.
So yeah, do you want to talk about 2026 as well?
Well, simply to say that we've still got quite a few artists that we would like to book who weren't available this year. So that's changed our view about how we plan future festivals. So instead of planning the 2026 festival in October 2025, we're going to start it in the next couple of months, because we've already got a short list of artists we'd like to try and book.
Right.
So I think that's a good sign. It does seem to be getting more competitive. People are deciding earlier. So
Yeah.
we need to be there while artists are still available.
Thanks for listening to the 3 Times podcast. I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode. Please subscribe and tell your friends about us.